What is up, my friends? It's your boy Dan, and today we're going to be doing a comparison of some of the best Battle Royale games out today. With the release of Call of Duty Warzone, we thought it would be fun to compare it to an FNF favorite, Apex Legends. This comparison will be divided into 5 categories: map, looting, weapons, mechanics, and overall fun. However, keep in mind this comparison is based on my own opinions and what I have experienced playing these two games. If you don't agree, that's totally cool, and I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments. However, before we hop in today, please, if you enjoy our content, consider subscribing, and if you enjoy this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. It really does help us out. Now, without any further ado, let's hop into a comparison between Call of Duty Warzone and Apex Legends. First things first, let's compare the maps. Call of Duty Warzone by far has the biggest and most expansive map I've ever seen in a Battle Royale. It's honestly quite impressive how much detail they're able to cram into a cross-platform multiplayer game. The locations vary in terms of terrain, landscape, and architecture, and give a nice variety and a sense of meaning to your landing choice. It actually gives you a reason to choose a different spot to land every time you hop into the game, or choose a favorite spot that you have good luck in. Meanwhile, on the Apex side, it definitely has a smaller map, and it feels perfect to the amount of players that drop in per match. Warzone hosts 150 players, while Apex hosts 60. That's a big difference to note. However, Apex never really feels crammed, while COD feels like it's nearly impossible to land in a spot and have it to yourself. Apex's map also fits really well to the story it's telling. I mean, keep in mind it's in the Titanfall universe, it's a sci-fi future, so it just fits that landscape a little bit more versus Call of Duty's a much more real-world approach to its map. For this first category, Warzone definitely wins. Next up, let's talk about looting, and this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. First, we'll talk about Warzone. While yes, looting is a core mechanism to COD, the store mechanic kind of takes away from the meaning of looting on the map, and it kind of makes it pointless. Other than something you do at the beginning of the game to defend yourself and kill the guys that are in the environment around you, there's not really any incentive to loot, because once you have enough money, which really doesn't take a whole lot of time to get, you can just go buy a loadout containing your own weapons and loadouts that you're more comfortable with. Finding rare weapons in COD just isn't exciting because you know you can just go and buy a loadout with the weapon you feel more comfortable with. While this does make it more fair weapon-wise, I guess, it takes away from the stakes of looting what's on the map, which is kind of, in my opinion, a core, mechanic of Battle Royale. And because of this, you're never really in search of better loot. There's less incentive to go into combat other than to just survive, because you're not going to pick up what those other guys have, except for maybe shields or more money. However, I will say COD has done an excellent job of making looting as simple as possible. There's no weapon attachments that need to be picked up. It's as simple as picking up weapons, money, lethals, tacticals, shields, and kill streaks. The Apex looting system is much more in line with your traditional Battle Royale. However, it makes it super streamlined and very easy to use. It's not hard to get used to at all. I would argue that looting is way more important in Apex all the way to the end of the game. You'll continue to check enemies' death boxes all the way until the final circle because you're constantly in search of the sought after, quote-unquote, better loot. COD doesn't have better loot because you can get the best loot from a loadout in the first few minutes of the game once you get enough money. Meanwhile, in Apex, when you knock down a guy with a purple or gold shield, you are running straight for his fucking loot box. After reviving your teammate, of course. Or when you open the loot box and they have that barrel stabilizer upgrade you need, or an extra hop up, it just makes it so much more exciting. And loot is way more exciting in Apex, and is probably the most important part of the gameplay besides, combat. Also, the fact that it automatically attaches the better equipment or attaches the equipment made for that particular weapon is the best fucking thing ever. It makes it so easy. You don't have to fumble through the menus and risk getting ambushed. The game automatically knows which stabilizer or which stock or which site goes to each weapon. That is an awesome and huge advantage to Apex, and for that reason I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that Apex wins the looting mechanism. Next up, let's talk about weapons. Now this one's a tough one because in Warzone you literally have every single gun in the game that's available. It makes it kind of difficult to balance, or at least you would think. That being said, you typically see the same type of loadout from everyone in the game. Everyone's running a sniper with a combination of either an assault rifle or SMG for close range combat. You're at a very heavy disadvantage if you don't use a sniper. So like I said, because every single weapon is available, that doesn't mean everyone's using every single weapon. It's always a sniper and a short range gun. The combination of the size of the map and heavy sniper orientation makes gameplay feel a lot slower. And therefore, because of this kind of game-breaking loot drop system, the game has a weird pacing issue. This wouldn't be a problem if you were constantly in search of better weapons, but like I said, early on in the game, you get your loot drop and that's it. You have the best guns, so there's really no reason to go get or go kill other guys. Now, Apex has the complete opposite problem. Once again, it's more in line with your classic battle royale, as there's a set few number of weapons on the field. Now, these weapons can be upgraded as you want depending on how much loot you get. However, everyone starts on a level playing field, as every weapon has the same base when it is picked up. It has no attachments, it's just the weapon as it is. This leads to a more skill-based combat in the beginning, because you're not really relying on guns that have better attachments or better loadouts. It's just, hey, it's whatever gun I found versus whatever gun you found, and let's duke it out and see who fucking wins, right? There's no luck of getting a better weapon, versus in Warzone you can find a gold gun or you can find a legendary gun right at the beginning of the game, which will give you a huge edge. Apex seems to favor much shorter range combat, while COD is much longer range, and all the weapons in the game, minus the 2 long range snipers and the G7, which again I would argue G7 is still really medium range, are very fast firing and high recoil, which makes it a lot harder to have success at long range. So like I said, Apex kind of favors the fast pace, in your face kind of combat. And due to the low number of weapons in the game, I feel it's much more balanced and not favorable to one particular setup. I've had success using almost every different combination of weapon except the Mozambique. If one more fucking person pings a Mozambique, I swear to God. So for this reason, I'm gonna give the win to Apex on the weapons. Alright, let's talk game mechanics. I just gotta say one word: cross-play. Crossplay is such a huge part of Warzone's success. Probably the only reason why I continue to play this game mode is purely because of crossplay. Trying to play this in solos or with a random squad is infuriating. COD has done an amazing job at making this work flawlessly cross-platform. Now, I know I did make a video complaining about the problems of Warzone. You can check it out if you want. That issue was patched in less than 24 hours, and I gotta give Infinity Ward credit for that. So kudos to them for making crossplay in this game accessible to anyone who has some form of gaming console. Now, I also want to talk about the store mechanism. I think it's very clever, and buying back teammates is genius. The currency system adds a whole different dynamic to the genre, and it's a welcome change. However, I think the loadout system kind of breaks the game. I would be curious to see what would happen if they took out loadout drops completely and made it based on survival on the loot that you find on the map. I think that would make finding a gold gun or a purple gun way more exciting, because right now there's not really any excitement when you find that weapon. It's kind of like just, oh, I'm just going to use this for now until I get my loadout, right? That's kind of the mindset. In my opinion, I would say either get rid of loadout drops completely or make them like a really high price, or make them random drops on the map and very few random drops. That way it's more fair and there's more incentive to go out and find different weapons and get into combat, and that would fix the campiness of the game, I think. That being said, I also want to talk about the gulag. I think that is genius. Now, getting to fight for your life is amazing and keeps players that get knocked down early and in the game for a bit longer. And also, if you die in the gulag, your teammates can just buy you back, which I think is amazing. Let's talk about Apex. The main sell of Apex, of course, is the characters you get to play as. This single mechanic by itself is what keeps me coming back to the game. Having a different special ability that drastically changes the gameplay is something so special to this BR and truly makes it fun. I feel like I'm actually playing as a different person when I play Apex versus COD. You're just a faceless, nameless guy. You know, of course you can choose your skin, but it's not quite the same as having a direct ability that changes the flow of the game. The other thing is landing in this game may be one of the most fun and satisfying things I've ever experienced in video games. I'm not even fucking joking when I say this. To this day, I get chills landing every single time.
Avengers! Assemble.
versus in Call of Duty, landing sucks. I hate landing in the game. First of all, it takes 4 hours if you want to land on the edge of the map or if you want to land somewhere that's slightly far away from you. Second of all, the fact that you can get shot out of the fucking sky is probably the most infuriating mechanic in the game, and I never want to see it again. Fucking maple syrup slanging bad guys, like, no.
Yeah. It's like if you were like a little kid running away from like a Canadian soldier with a hockey stick.
I'm gonna die. Fuck off. The fact that I can die before I even land is... it's blasphemous. It shouldn't be in the game. However, I gotta say, the fact that there's no crossplay is the biggest bummer about Apex, and due to that one word, crossplay, I gotta give it to Warzone. Alright, so we're in the last category, overall fun, and this is the tiebreaker. Of course, this is the most subjective out of the 4 categories, but it's important nonetheless, because fun is the reason we go back to play video games. I've got to give a lot of points to Warzone. It brings realism to a whole other level in this battle royale. It brings new mechanics and systems that strongly improve upon the genre. The fact that it has crossplay is a huge game changer. I can't stress this enough. This alone brings the fun levels really high because I can play with any single one of my friends that has the game, and it's free. Now Apex is free too, but it doesn't have that crossplay. That being said, this game might be one of the most frustrating battle royales I've ever played, even compared to Fortnite, I gotta say. Playing solo is just nightmare fuel, and losing can be more infuriating than any other battle royale. There's just something about it. Apex, man, I fucking love this game. It makes me so sad that they don't have crossplay because I quite honestly would probably never play any other battle royale ever if they did. The hero shooter mechanics mixed with the sci-fi elements are what constantly pull me back in. Dropping from the ship will never ever get old, and I gotta say, playing with a random squad of 3 in Apex is actually much more forgiving than in Call of Duty. Maybe it's just because of the demographic of people that are playing Apex are more serious and take the team mechanics a little bit more seriously, versus in Warzone, literally everyone and their sister is playing right now, and it's rare that you get a coordinated team that actually gives a fuck about being a teammate. Not only that, but the Titanfall-esque mechanics and movement speed in the game makes it a joy to play and getting around the map. Well, here we are, the final verdict, which in my opinion is the best battle royale. And currently, I think I have to say the game that keeps me coming back and I have the most fun playing is Apex Legends. There are so many reasons why I love this game, and I didn't even get to cover all of them in this video. For example, the pinging system, the movement speed, the final circle, everything about this game just is so special to me, and for me, it takes its place as the best battle royale. And that's it. That's my little comparison of Apex versus Warzone. Now, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments, and of course, let's keep it civil in the comments. This is just my opinion, and I thought it would be fun to compare the 2 little battle royales. Let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you fucking hate me. Let us know in the comments. I'd love to know. And until next time, this has been Dan on another episode of the Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys. We will see you guys later.